This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren pushing this word in all sincerity and in truth. To the hopeful elect, the 144,000, shalom. It's the brother Dama Al-Gabar here with a quick lesson, Lord willing, which is edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. And, we're living at the time to where, Satan, which is, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, which is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is, he's throwing a lot of his wicked devices out here. And he's setting snares and traps so that he can bring in another lockdown. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a minute. But I want to get this word for devices, which, we went into this word before. But, it's good to go into these things over and over again so that they, stick. And And the word is noema. It says an evil purpose. It says that which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purposes. All right. And a mental perception, a thought. But ultimately, it's an evil purpose. And this is exactly what Esau Edom is setting up in these last days. His devices are evil. His purposes and his thoughts are always evil continually. All right. And that's one thing that a lot of these people don't seem to understand, is that everything that Esau Edom or the wicked does is ultimately to harm, is to put himself in a position to have the ultimate advantage over you. And we know, in these last days, he's using a lot of crazy devices and evil thoughts and plans to ultimately to bring in this new world order, to figure out a way to enslave humanity under a digital dictatorship, and bring in a technological Tower of Babel, to where each and every person on this planet will be enslaved inside of a digital system that he holds all the keys. He can open and close doors. He can stop you from buying and selling. This is why you see all of these things happening all over the earth. You see all of these campus protests. That was all a device created so that he could ultimately, basically try to stop you from having free speech. To put a gag on your right to speak freely, or to criticize, or ultimately, to come up against all of his wickedness and the evils that he is doing, and create a law to where, you can be punished or thrown in jail or fined or worse for, basically exposing the truth. You see, it's all part. That was just one of his many wicked devices. All right. His evil thoughts, his plans, and it's like that all across the board, even with this whole financial situation. There's wicked devices that are being put in place so that he could, ultimately gain full control. And he's doing this on all levels and at all angles. And us, as being men of the Lord and being the Israelites, we can't be ignorant to these things. Now, of course, we know 2/3 of our people, they don't know what the hell is going on. They're going to be snared and taken by all of these wicked devices and these wicked plans of these elites, because ultimately they worship Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and they love their lives. They love America. They love this place so much to where that, they'll be blinded by their ignorance. They refuse to ultimately accept and see the so-called white man, Esau Edom, for who he truly is. And that's why when, he puts the pressure on, when he brings all this order out of the chaos, the majority of our people who don't have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, who don't have a kingdom mind frame, who doesn't see, what's really happening on this planet Earth, man, hey, they're going to trust and fall and be taken by all of these wicked devices that Esau is setting up, mainly, the MOTB, which is the implantable micro C-hip. A lot of our people are going to end up being duped into taking it because they are ignorant to the devices of the spirit of the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, which is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And I've been seeing articles on this for a minute, but I just been leaving it alone. I haven't really been going into it because I just wanted more and more information to come out. But, these two articles that I got, I really feel like, this devil is really about to start making a move, with this so-called bird flu, this H5N1 shit. And he's really about to use this to lock shit down and give the UN the power that they've been trying to vote in, which is to give, no, not the UN, to give the WHO that, as the brother calls them, the World Health Organization, complete control over lockdowns and, you know, um, you know, lockdowns and pandemics and, epidemics, which they'll be able to lock down every single person, force jabs, force shots on people, and have the total control to, to constantly, you know, decide and declare what is a pandemic, what needs to be locked down, what needs to be national emergencies, so that these devils can gain control on the medical level. All right. And I'm going to show you something in this article. I got another article, which I'm really going to show you that, I really feel now is that they're going to, you know, this is just one of the new devices they're about to really start pushing and make mainstream and, use the fear of this to do multiple things, to lock everybody in their houses, to force more jabs and stabs on everybody, and to ultimately to have the power over food and power over, you know, what do I say? Power over the food and power over, to ultimately to manufacture more of a famine, man, and force people to stop eating meat and force you to eat their lab grown meat, to eat the bugs, and ultimately create such a scare with this that, they can take over the food supply. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. But anyways, I don't want to make this too long. It says countries where avian flu has been detected in wild animals since 2022. And this is the new thing. This is the new device of this devil. He's going to start pushing this avian flu that's able to be contracted from animals to people. And they're going to say, oh, this has never happened. It was never a thing. Yeah, it might have happened, but it's very small. It was never critical. But now they're about to push this to make it to be more serious, to be more of a threat, to create more of more fear. All right. They can use this to, to ultimately take control over the food supply. Now they can say everything has been affected by, with this avian flu. Oh, the chickens, now they have it. Now the cattle have it, which then what they can control whether you can have chicken or beef, and they can force you to eat their lab grown chemical meat, which they're going to claim is perfect. And, it can't be infected, but, natural cows and chicken and beef and whatever else, man. If this is the case, then anything can become infected by this shit, which ultimately leads to them having total control. All right. And like I said, they're going to use this to lock everybody away. Now they're going to say, now, if you come across any animal, you come across a pigeon, now dogs have it. Now, wild foxes and hens and chickens and birds and dogs and cats and bears and tigers. Oh my. Now, this avian flu is so deadly, is so contractable that, any animal you come across could particularly have it, Look at the niggas even said a goddamn dolphin had it, man. But you see the device, right? It's going to be such a scare, and they can just say that anything can carry this shit, and they can be contacted from mammals to humans, and it's going to be a new shock and a new fear. All right. It says a polar bear in the Arctic, red foxes in Europe, penguins in Antarctica, and a wide range of other wild animals have been infected with the flu virus strain currently spreading in dairy cattle. You see? Now it's through dairy cattle. How the hell is a goddamn polar bear in the Arctic coming across dairy cattle, man? And all of a sudden you just randomly going to Antarctica and testing bears. Come on, man. You see, but this is the device. This is the, the workings of Satan. This is how he manipulates and dupe and deceive people into, falling into his stupid agendas. It says why it matters. Up to 75% of new and emerging infectious diseases in people come from animals, and most of those can be traced back to wildlife. You see, and this is going to, they can use this as a way to lock everybody out. Look, it's not safe to go outside. All these different animals are contracting. They're highly infectious, and if you go out there, you're going to take a chance of getting this, and then you can bring it back into your household, and it's just of the many devices of this damn devil. And like I said, this could be the next push or the next thing he's going to use to, to bring in this NWO. It says 75% of new and emerging infectious diseases in people come from animals, and most of those can be traced back to wildlife. Monitoring wild animals for diseases can help scientists identify emerging health threats. Government agencies in the U.S. and around the world monitor wild birds for avian influenza, which spreads in bird populations without causing symptoms, and select animals for other pathogens. And yeah, now they can just say that everybody can have it. Well, we can't detect it, but they can just say that you have this shit. You see, it's just for more and more control, more devices of the devil, man. It says, but on the whole, there is very little surveillance of wildlife for any diseases, says Thomas Gillespie, a disease ecologist at Emory University, blah, blah, blah. It says, catch up quick. It says, outbreaks of avian flu and farm poultry and wild birds started to increase around the world in 2020, right? Because it's all part of the agenda. All of a sudden in 2020, now these things are picking up. And now in 2024, it's going to be at its highest level. You watch, man, they're going to blow this out of proportion. And you're going to start seeing physical symptoms, which I'm going to show you. And it's going to be the new thing. And like I said, and this might be the new boogeyman. This is going to be the new, device they're going to use to bring in another lockdown and to control, the food supply. And now they'll be able to label anything as being infected, and they could, have to euthanize more and more cattle, more and more chickens. They're going to start doing away with more farms, and they're going to come with the solution, which is to give you their lab-grown Bill Gates immortal cell line cancer-causing Franken foods pretty soon, man. It says, soon after the virus started to kill mammals, seals from Chile to Russia to Maine, red foxes in Europe and the U.S., sea lions in Peru, and other species. Bird flu has affected nearly 20 wild mammal species in the U.S. since 2022, including brown bears, skunks, mountain lions, and bottlenose dolphins in Florida. And guess what? Now cows are being infected. They become ill but recover with treatment. There's been one mild human infection detected so far in a person exposed to a dairy cattle, but some researchers suspect not all cases and workers are being spotted. You see, that's how it usually starts. Well, it's been happening, but we didn't catch it fast enough, and now it's been spreading, and it's all over the place. And everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, something could possibly be infected with this shit, which therefore we have to lock things down. This is becoming an epidemic. It's out of control. It's going to be just like the C19er, man. And you know what they're gonna have on deck to help and to heal people from this so-called, situation. Now, I'm not saying that the H5N1 doesn't exist, that it's not a real thing, but we do know that this devil has the power of deception, and he can use this to blow it out of proportion and make it be more of a threat than it truly is, in order to cause fear and perplexity and a reason to lock down and to use this crisis to his advantage, man. It says, to be the first detected case of the H5N1 transmitting from a mammal to a person. The CDC has said the risk to the general public is low. That's what they always say. But then all of a sudden, boom, it just goes out and it spreads like wildfire, Yeah, but this is going to be the thing now. Now it's happening in cows. So now we're about to start seeing less and less, more and more cattle infected. And it has to be destroyed, which is going to cause beef to be more expensive, beef to be harder to get. And ultimately, they're going to come with the solution, which is, their lab-grown bullshit. It says, there is also some evidence that the virus was transmitted from mammal to mammal and farmed minks. Wild animals are in general thought to get the virus by eating an infected bird or being exposed to its feces. Now that's going to be the new thing. Could you have eaten contaminated beef? It's a possibility. And it's going to be fucking a big thing. And I'm going to show you this article. This is how this is why I think they're really about to start blowing this shit up. It says, what? First photo of Texas farm worker who caught bird flu shows bleeding in his eyeballs, you see? And this is how you can really lay it on thick, is when you can have the actual or show physical proof of the infection, and you can show it amongst people. And then that's what really puts the fear. That's what can really, get them to label this thing to be a national emergency, to where they can have control. It says, the farm worker who caught the bird flu appears to be the first known case of mammal to human transmission, according to scientists. Look at that. It says the farm worker experienced bleeding on his eyeballs after being infected with bird flu. And it could be any goddamn thing. Remember, they let in all these migrants who were unvetted, unchecked, carrying all type of diseases and all type of sicknesses here into this country. And we have yet to really see the effect of it. And I was reading an article earlier. It's a hotel out here in Long Beach where they were housing, they say, the homeless, but it could be migrants, where a huge fucking tuberculosis outbreak happened. And they didn't name the hotel. They don't want to say where the hotel was, but basically all those people were infected. And you had a lot of people who was in that hotel who they lost track of and just roaming around the city infected with tuberculosis, which we know that shit spreads from cough. If a motherfucker has that shit, he just start coughing, or if he touches you or you come in contact with some of his bodily fluids, hey, it's an easily contracted sickness. And these people that was infected in that hotel are just running around the city infected and just further spreading it. So that could become a thing. All these other sicknesses could start to become situations. You see, it says the first image of a Texas farm worker infected with bird flu from a cow shows he suffered bleeding in his eyeballs. It is thought to be the first known case of mammal to human transmission, and comes as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warned the bird flu H5N1 viruses poses pandemic potential. You see? And that's the thing. It poses pandemic potential. That's what they want to eventually it to be, a pandemic potential. So they're what? They can bring in more lockdowns, have more control, bring in their wicked devices, man. It says the dairy worker attended a hospital in March after experiencing painful red, weeping eyes with burst blood vessels. His eyes began to swell up, though he had no fever, and an examination showed his lungs were clear, according to a letter published by the New England Journal of Medicine. The journal also contained an image of the infected man alongside the scientific term for his eye condition, conjunctivitis with subconjunctival hemorrhage. You see? It says swabs of his eyes revealed a substantial presence of the you see that, though little was found in his lungs. This has led researchers considering whether he was infected through the eyes by rubbing them, or with contaminated hands, or by being splashed with contaminated liquids such as milk. They keep saying the milk, which pretty soon is about to be a huge attack on milk, and then cows, and then other species, and then eventually people. The CDC epidemiologist said they were unable to access the farm where he was infected, which prevented them from being able to research precisely how workers may have been exposed. And there we go. Now, we got to look at it like this. Now, where he was working, they didn't know, so they didn't catch it in time. So now, potentially, where he was working, there's cows that has this contaminated shit that can spread from animals to humans, and they lost, wherever they were at. Now, those potential cows that were infected there, they could have already been slaughtered, already, shipped out for people to consume, which will eventually infect and consume those people, Now, I'm just saying, but, hey, we can't be ignorant to Satan devices. Look at all these. Look, CDC warns bird flu poses pandemic potential as fears of human infection surge. See, look, experts say to avoid some popular foods during bird flu. See, and that's where they're going with this. Now, a lot of foods are about to be said to avoid. It's going to give them what? Further control over the food supply. Now they can say everything is infected by this shit, and therefore everything has to be controlled and regulated by the powers that be. And we'll give you the food that we've tested and we know is to be safe and to be sure. And in the future, it's only going to be Bill Gates lab-grown chicken and lab-grown beef and Franken foods, and you will eat the bugs, if you know where I'm going with this. And look at this. This is a map showing where there have been confirmed cases of that in domestic livestock, and it's only going to get more and more out of control. But like I was saying, you can see where this shit is kind of headed. Now, I'm not saying they're going to use this, but hey, we can't be ignorant enough not to believe that they won't if the opportunity presents itself. But this is something that you're going to start seeing more in the news. I believe through the spirit, man. You see, and like I said, we know what these devils are ultimately using this for. We know the situation they want to get out of this. You see. It says the bird flu has been circulating in cows for an estimated 4 months before it was confirmed by labs in late March, according to a new report released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Since then, at least 36 cow herds have been infected across 9 U.S. states, including Idaho, South Dakota, Colorado, Kansas, New Mexico, Texas, Michigan, Ohio, and the Carolinas. You see? It says, while traces of the virus have been found in samples of milk from grocery stores, the Food and Drug Administration has said pasteurized milk remains safe to drink. Yeah, but for how long? You see? Well, there we go. They go to experts. Look, student dies of bird flu in U.S. days after developing cough. Yeah, see, look, price of common grocery store items on the rise during so this is what we're going to start seeing. More higher food prices, more and more food being labeled contaminated, or you should avoid it. More and more dairy cattle being slaughtered, and eventually more and more people exhibiting and showing infectious symptoms from this so-called situation. So we gotta definitely keep our eye on this, man. We know how this devil operates and how he gets down, and we cannot be ignorant of it. Okay. And this is Psalm 64, verse 5. It says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see us? You see? But we do see you, because we, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we have been given this truth. We're walking in the light. We know the depths of Satan. We know how Esau get downs. We know what he's ultimately trying to achieve, and the means to which he will try to achieve it are limitless, And we know, like Bill Gates said a couple of years ago, he said the next pandemic we think will get everybody's attention. They might just forcibly just start putting this particular strain of that stuff and inside stuff to where a lot of people can be affected by it. And then boom, they can have the proof. They can have more and more results, and they can have more and more people looking like Cuzzo right here, and, or worse. And then they could ultimately get the desired results. It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. You see? So these devils can put a lot of time and effort and thought into, making this be the next big thing, and how they could use it and, use it and plaster it and make it be the next thing to where they can have more control. So, I'm going to close it there, Lord willing. The point was made, Lord willing. You were edified, and Lord willing, you got something out of this lesson, but we definitely need to keep looking at this because, it just could be the very next boogeyman they need to scare the shit out of everybody, and, have more people roll up their sleeves and them to gain more control and get the desired result, man. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Lord willing, you were edified. Shalom.